Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a new year of Swamp Bats baseball. I'm Marc Schwartz. Joined alongside me today is Mike Morgese, and we are ushering in the 2012 season for the Keene Swamp Bats, 1 year removed from their 2011 championship run. And today the Keene Swamp Bats will be taking on the Holyoke Blue Sox in a competition of the Western Division. And Mike, we're going to talk a little bit about the game that we have set for today. Holyoke actually started their season yesterday against the Vermont Mountaineers, and they wound up winning 7-3 off the backs of an impressive pitching effort.
Yes, the impressive pitching effort came from Adam Norton. He pitched 7 innings and gave up only 5 hits and only allowed 2 runs on the game. And looking at the box score for that game, a bunch of guys are listed as pitchers. They didn't have their full lineup with them, so a lot of guys that were pitchers were actually going back to the senior circuit style of actually having to hit. So Adam Norton pitched well, and he also was the only one in the game to have the only RBI. Holyoke was able to score 7 runs, but only had 1 RBI in the game. Yeah, well, that's an interesting thing that a lot of teams will face early on in this season, is that the rosters aren't completely full yet. I know a couple of players for the Swamp Bats aren't going to be with us here today, notably Evan Campbell, the outfielder on Kent State, still playing in the Super Regionals. Frankie Schwindel, the catcher for St. John's, also plays first base for the Red Storm. He is also in the Super Regionals. He won't be here for the Swamp Bats until St. John's' season is over. But Holyoke is a good example of how, it's sort of a makeshift roster for the first couple of weeks of this season. And you talked about that with some of the pitchers having to play the field. And it's a problem that a lot of teams will have to face early on. But it's a good problem to face. You want your guys to be on the top of their games. You want the best players, and usually the best players are on the best teams. Best teams are in the regionals. Holyoke is missing a player of note, and that's James Campbell. He pitches for Stony Brook, and he was actually throwing a gem today for Stony Brook against Louisiana State University. So once they can get him on board, they're going to be a lot better team.
Yeah, James Campbell, one of the top pitchers for the Blue Sox. As you said, Mike, we will not be seeing him today. But looking at this Swamp Bats roster, and it's virtually a new roster. You got a couple of returning players. Brett Barrett was on the team last year. Kyle Gears was on the team last year. But for the most part, it's a new team. But you have a lot of players from a lot of big schools, and it's hard to predict this early in the season return for the championship game. But it's a roster that a lot of people are optimistic about, and good things are coming for the Swamp Bats.
Usually if a team wins a championship, people want to jump on board. They think that they can continue winning ways. It's a lot of fresh faces we'll see today. A lot of the hometown crowd hasn't seen these players play before, but the name of the NECBL is on the rise, so a lot good players are ready to play today and make their debuts in front of this very big hometown crowd.
Well, the Swamp Bats have been known as one of the top drawers in the NECBL, and we expect that here today. A little rain in the forecast. Hopefully we could get all 9 innings in this one, but we'll have to hold our breath for that as the clouds look a little ominous tonight. But that'll do it for the pregame show. Coming up live right after this is opening pitch here for the Swamp Bats, June 8th, 2012. Keene Swamp Bats taking on the Holyoke Blue Sox exclusively here on TeamLine.com.